What's going on, guys? Today, I think Murr's going to come over again. He's been polishing his face off. I've been a little lazy in some of the filming, but we got a lot going on now. So I think we'll do kind of bring up the speed as to where we're at for all the polishing and all that work. I'm sure you've seen in the background some other videos, and what we got to kind of take care of, and we'll go from there. So if that's what you want to see, polishing, a little bit of faux patina, all those sort of things, subscribe to the channel, grab a drink, have a seat. We'll get after it. So by now I'm sure you've seen, Murr was obsessed with wet sanding and I was wet sanding and stuff like that. So we're kind of at a bit of a funny spot. We've got half the roof done, half polished, half just wet sanded. I've gotten the tailgate and all that working. I took it all apart, cleaned it all, had to weld on it, but got it all pieced back together. Now it does have a pile of kind of old paint on it, so this is going to be a big job for old Murr there. He's got a pile of wet sanding to do. Just the other day, he wet sanded this whole quarter down. It was the worst. It did bring through a lot of the primer, and I mean, it's kind of, you can only go so far. You can see here, there's still the old paint, but you go any further, you're gonna end up just in the primer. Back here, this was a big spot of just rust, so I had painted it and kind of started sanding it. Once we give it a bit of a polish, I'm hoping it'll bring it back, because this part actually hasn't been polished yet. So we'll kind of map that out. Now, this is where I might be losing my mind. I'm listening to Murr a little bit too much, and he thought the front clip was too ratty. I know a lot of you guys have as well, and against my better judgment, I put some paint on it. So what I did is I scuffed it all down with some like 500 grit, and I mean, parts of it, there's no bringing it back. I mean, this is like, that's pitted, rusty. That's obviously, this thing had some sort of fender mirrors on it. So I kind of got the whole car, or the whole fender, I should say, scuffed and smooth, and I actually went into the door, because the door had a bunch of ugliness. So I flattened all that out. Now it's still not right down to bare metal, it's still kind of bumpy. So I'm going to let it dry, and I'm hoping I can kind of wet sand or scuff through and give a little bit of kind of this appearance. This fender was by far the worst of the two. I think this is pretty livable. I mean, you got to squint your eye real tight, but if I kind of blend that, leave a bit of rust in the top a little bit, get around the edges, and just kind of carry on. Again, this is just down the rattle can. I just used a little bit of primer and then a little bit of paint. So we'll let that kind of dry up. I just did it, so it's still wet. Because this fender, I really like the way it turned out. This is all the factory paint. I just dusted in just right here. But the rest of it looks nice, and it's got this kind of look. So I'm hoping I can kind of mimic that to look like the other fender. That's my plan anyways. This is a bit more primer showing than the other side, but again, you just kind of keep wet sanding until you're happy with where it ended. Now this fender is definitely rough on this side. Now we haven't polished this at all, so I didn't want to touch this just yet, because I'm thinking if you polish it, it might bring a lot of that paint back. It's so faded out. If we can make it kind of look like that, I mean, it's been polished up to the mirror, so you can see the difference it makes. There's not a lot of paint there, but I want Murr to run the polisher on it, and in worst case, I can dust in a little bit of paint here and here after we see how that one turns out, and then you can bring it back and they'll kind of be matching. Now when it's right down to the rust and stuff, I mean, I don't know, I think it's done its thing. So that's kind of the plan we're going to do. Murr's not coming over for maybe a couple hours anyways. In the meantime, I'm actually going to work on another video where we're working on the motor and stuff. So the next time you see this thing, the body will hopefully, well, the paint will be dry and it'll actually be up in stands, and maybe Murr will be over, or maybe I'll just be wet sanding my own. I'm not too sure, but that's the plan. Well, the car's up on stands. Yeah, I was gonna work on another video. I'm kind of plumbing out the motor, getting it ready. I want to test fire this thing, so that'll be a fun one. Whether it comes out first or last, not too sure, but make some noise. Anyways, Murr's on his way over. And the paint here is dry, it's hard. You start kind of messing with it into the door. I know he's going to work on the tailgate, but if I get this kind of dialed and the quarter panel all taken care of, he can probably do just a little bit of polishing. So we get that. I think he'll probably want a break of sanding anyways, so we can get that kind of polished. Anyway, so the plan, I got a bucket of water, I got some 800 grit, and finer actually. But I'm just gonna set the camera up and we'll kind of just see. And I mean, there's no real science to it. I just kind of wipe it all down, or like, you know, sand it all down with water. I wipe it off because it looks different wet than it does dry, which I've learned. So take a little bit off, or whatever you think, dry it off with a towel, and then go back at it. Now it's going to give a dull kind of finish, obviously, but then Mer's going to come by and polish her back up. So yeah, we'll see how she turns out. Okay, so there it is. I mean, kind of hit it with some 500, then follow it with some 1000. Still a little bit lumpy, and it's kind of wet. It's got a bit of shine to it. But ultimately, if once it dries, it'll dull out. Mer can shine it back up to the way it looks. I think it won't be too obtrusive. The big thing here, I don't know if it's going to show up in camera, but the transition into the door is kind of, because this and this match, and then into here, just kind of right there, you can see it's a little bit darker, but as paint kind of dries and fades and does its thing, it'll be okay. I think that looks a little more presentable than it was. I don't know what you guys think. Let me know in the comments, but yeah, I mean, the problem is, again, that rusty fender, there's not much you can do. Obviously, that's the worst, and it's going to spread from it. So I'll leave that there. Mer's still not here. Taking his sweet old man time. But I'm going to work on something else for a little bit, I think. Once he gets here, maybe we'll do a little kind of montage of him polishing, and I'm going to put him to work on the tailgate. Mer's here. He brought his fancy little tool, and we're making it work with some sandpaper I have. So he's just kind of got it started. I'll set up the tripod, but so obviously we have all this kind of old paint all over it, which has clearly been brushed on. So he's working his way through just with a little bit of water and his magic tool, and I mean, I guess you already did it up top here, right? Because that would have had a bunch on it. Yeah. So that's down to, well, as much as going to come off as possible. So yeah, he'll get after it. He brought his lazy chair out, so he's good. I think it's it's almost gonna be done. You get this done, then you can polish the side up.
Can I?
Oh. I made it nice and tall, so the roof's a bit of a pain for you to do today, but I really wanted you to do the ugly job first, so that worked good. So Mer's all done with his, what was that, 500 grit. So now in his head he's going to go 1,000 and 2,000 grit. He really tell the panels he cares about. But it's come out pretty good. Now we're fighting out what to do with the bare metal spots. We should kind of patina them and stuff, which I usually could do. This tailgate is so beat. Like, it's so beat. And parts of it are like, it's crinkled. You can see in the light. Like, if you paint that, it's going to look ridiculous, I think. And I mean, down here, it was split. I welded it. I didn't even grind the welds. But, so he's going to do a little bit more sanding, and then maybe we'll bring it back when you're going to put on the polish, eh? Because you're going to polish the whole back of the car,
They'll try,
They'll try?
Yeah.
You gotta polish this, and then I want you to polish my fender. Fender and door, because the door transition, I don't like the way it looks when it's not polished.
Okay.
Back to work.
Back to work.
Alright. Murr's got the polisher loaded up. He's gonna hit the back, the tailgate. This is all wet, I'll wipe it down for him. But he's a little concerned that the paint's a little...
non-existent.
A little wore out. It's got a little extra patina back here. But, it looks good wet. And then he gave this a quick little wet sand. He wasn't happy with the work I did, shocker. And I'm excited for the front, because this fender was so ratty before that, well, he convinced me to make it look like this. So now he's gonna, you guys all think Mur can fix anything with a polisher? Well, there you go. See, we'll see who's right here. But I'll set the time-lapse camera real quick. He'll give her a quick buzz once over. Then I want to drop this thing down, and we can kind of walk around it a little bit. I gotta take the roof rack off, because I think tomorrow he's gonna polish the roof, eh? You're free tomorrow?
I'll
check
see
your
if
schedule.
I can pencil you in.
All right. Well, we'll yeah. Next thing you'll see Mur polishing. I'm always amazed at what Mur can do with a little polisher, and that McGuire stuff, wherever it was. It's unbelievable. Like you'll wipe it on and it just soaks up. You don't even really got to wipe it off. It makes the paint look, actually has some shine to it. The tailgate came out pretty good. I mean, for what we were working with, it matches the whole way across. It'd be kind of cool when you guys saw what it looked like just a few hours ago before Mur was unleashed on it. It turned out pretty good. The dilemma I'm left with now is the front fender. So this fender was the nicer of the two. And, you know, the other one was all just down to the primer, so I painted over it, kind of scuffed it up. This one, unfortunately, it's got a lot of rust coming through, which is really rough. I think painting over that will just look stupid. So maybe I'll just do a little bit down here. I'm going to try to polish it up, but there's not a whole lot left, and it's very rough. So a little bit of wet sand, maybe a little bit of blue in the front, and we'll collar this fender. I gotta say, I think it came out great. But I think that's where we're leaving it for tonight. Mur's back tomorrow for the roof. I gotta drop this thing down off stands. But it's getting late, and you gotta get your Mur back home before it gets dark. And it's actually Saturday, and we do live streams, so hopefully you're in it. Saturday night, 7:30 Central. Yeah. We'll see you guys tomorrow to finish this off. Pull my roof rack off and give it one more polish, and I think you're done with the main polisher, eh? Then you're down to hand polishing stuff, eh? That'll be fun. See you guys tomorrow. Well, it's actually been a couple of days. Haven't really been doing a whole lot. I did clean up the garage. Man, all I do is make a mess, clean up the garage, make a mess. Good attitude from you guys about having a dirty garage, clean it up, and carry on. So what we're gonna do today, well, tonight, it's actually kind of late already, I brought my bucket of water and I was going to sand this fender. Actually, Danny wanted to come out and do it, so she might, you might see her on the time lapse, the two of us kind of making her look crappy. Dropped her on the ground. So Mur's off today. He must have like a retirement holiday I wasn't aware of, because he didn't put in a time off request sheet, so he's doing his own thing. He ain't getting a stat day though. So the half of the wagon is not done for the roof. You can clearly see. And so I think I might just tackle it myself. It needs to just kind of be washed down real quick, but I think overall it's good. So I think we're going to wet sand the fender, polish it up, polish the roof, and then give it a coat of this whatever, fancy wax, whatever the hell it's called, the Meguiar's Shine. And then the car will kind of be together. I don't know what order I'm doing because I did 2 videos at once with the motor, but I got a bunch of kind of motor parts coming, which should be here in a couple of days. The front seat's supposed to be back into this week, which is probably about 4 or 5 days from now. And I got to get up in the air to deal with the transmission, to the ring gear situation, measure for drive shafts. There's a bunch of kind of things that are all gonna kind of happen at once, and hopefully we're getting that Dodge motor right away. So it'd be an extra bonus if I could get this thing running and driving, even if it's kind of crappy, just enough to get in and out of the garage. Oh, and I got exhaust coming for it. So there's still lots going on. And we got to wire it and all that crap. But, yeah. So that's what's coming. Shocker, right? The car's getting finished. So I'll get all set up here. We'll start working on this fender. So we wet sanded it. Danny polished it. Yeah, now we're just gonna wipe off the residue. I think it looks pretty good, eh? Get all the junk off. Like, see where it's all. You see the line of the. Yeah, polish it off so it's kind of shiny. I don't know where I put the magic stuff. But yeah, that's turned out pretty darn good, I think. It's a pretty good match. What's that?
I was talking to my fans,
and
I said I did it.
So you nailed it. I think it matches the rest of the car pretty darn good. I gotta get the roof still. It's gonna be lame. It's gonna take a bunch of time, and I don't think Danny's volunteering any more of her time.
Well, what do you need?
The whole roof to be done.
I'm too short.
So now what we're gonna do, you got it all wiped down?
Yeah.
This is the stuff Mer made me order.
Meguiar's. Who, we fancy?
Oh, that's garbage. This is like show car glaze. I paid for this, so we're gonna use like a drop of it. No, I'm just kidding. Whoop. You get a brand new one?
Yes.
So just kind of wipe it all over.
Like any fancy way, or just?
No, just all over the whole panel. It just brings up the shine. So do the whole panel. Like get the cloth gooey and do the whole thing. And this stuff just like the paint soaks it right up, which is crazy. Give it a bit of a polish in. But you need a little more down here. It's unbelievable how much this stuff soaks it up. But it does make a heck of a shine.
A heck of
Now this stuff, you don't want to let it dry, apparently. So we got another rag. Canadian Tire, they're on sale. Did you get all the way up in here?
Nope.
So do the whole thing all the way down to the trim. Do around the front. On the other side of the headlight. Perfect. And we'll just put this with the stuff, and then you can wipe it down with that, get kind of just the excess off, you know. So you don't want to see any streaks.
We're going streaking!
It's a different channel. That's a pay-per-view one. So there
That's
you go.
the members only one.
So we went from just random spray bomb on it, kind of sanding it all off, to having it somewhat match the car. So again, the fenders are pretty beat. I don't know what I'm doing with the hood yet. This can always be added to get down the... Look how feel smooth it looks or feels now, eh? It's all nice. You can see a shine off it. Basically do your makeup in this thing. Thanks, babe.
You're welcome.
Alright, I'm going to tackle the roof, so I'll set you up on the camera. We'll see how she goes. We'll do the same thing. It'll be polish, then the glaze, and then I'm done. Well, check that roof out. So I polished the one side with the polisher. I wiped the whole roof down with that magic stuff. I don't know if I did the other side. So this front part didn't come out very shiny. Again, I mean, I really worry about dusting the paint in here, so I really think you'll notice it. When you're doing a fender or a door, it has those hard lines to break it up, so I'm a little leery there. It looks here, it's almost like there's a tire or something like that stored there for many, many years. And then right in here, it's kind of hard to bring back. But, well, the rest of it came out. And the driver's side, if you see, that's the primer starting to come through. So all these little specks, it kind of looks like dirt. But obviously there was dirt there, something like that. And as you try and get it out, you end up in the primer. Which, as much as I kind of like that look, I don't want to... I'd rather leave it like this, I think. Mur did get some more aggressive pads. Well, I ordered them actually. They're not here yet. So I think he'll probably hit it maybe one more time, just see what we can do. The other thing, you can really see all the dents in it now. It's got some shine on it. Again, we're 4 feet away from a pile of LED lights, so definitely out in the sun I think it'll look a little different. I would like to try and get it nicer in the front here. It might just still be a bunch of dirt in there, so we'll see what we can accomplish. But that's the car. So the fenders, I don't know. Leave me a comment, a nice comment. But what you think? I mean, I could, I guess, schmuck this with body filler and try and paint it and do whatever. But I kind of like it. The car definitely looks ratty in the front and gets kind of nicer as you go back. So I'm finding out what we're gonna do with the hood yet. A lot of people want to see it painted flat black. I'm not gonna lie, I kind of like the ratty, rusty white look to it, and I think it'll kind of suit the front end of the car being real rough, and then get slightly better on the back. I think I did a pretty good job though. I gotta thank Danny for all her help. Mur doing all the polishing, but I think the fenders came out pretty good. They match enough anyway. I still gotta actually bolt that one down. But yeah, that's where I'm leaving it here. I'm ready to get back to some mechanical stuff. Get this thing up in the air. We'll start doing something fun. I've had enough polishing and cleaning and all that stuff. I'll probably come out and wash this thing one more time with a clean bucket of water and wipe it all down so it looks nice, clean all the glass out of it and stuff. I actually got to put a windshield in. I'm really not looking forward to that. If any of you guys have done, I've done a few Tri-5s, but they've all been the 150 base model, which didn't have the chrome around the window. So I've got to do a little bit of Googling. And a guy quoted me $400 to go in here and do it if I supply the glass and the rubber. That's like 40% of what I paid for the car to put the glass in, and I bought the glass. So that'll be a fun one. Anyways, thank you very much for watching. Have a great day, great evening, whatever it may be. I'll see you guys in the next one. Comment below, hit that bell and all those good things, and we'll see you in the next video.